This is your Park Lane morning announcement.
Good morning, Park Lane. This is Mrs. Strader broadcasting live from Park Lane Elementary. Today is Wednesday, September the 17th, 2014, Constitution Day, the day that we celebrate the Constitution of the United States of America. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But right now, we'd like to welcome our substitutes today, Mrs. Bicknell, Mrs. Engelbrecht, Miss York, Mrs. Suver, and Mrs. Staples. Hey, we have some birthdays to celebrate today, so let's get right to that. We've got Brooke. Brooke, your birthday's today, so happy birthday today. How old are you?
5.
And who's your teacher?
Mrs. Hughes.
Right, happy birthday to you today. Right beside you, we've got Kyle. And Kyle, your birthday was actually back in August. Do you remember what day it is? August the 21st. Does that sound right? Yeah, big grin as soon as I said that. He knew. Who's your teacher?
Mrs. Massey.
Mrs. Massey, the kindergarten teacher. And how old are you now?
5.
All right, happy belated birthday to you. And then we've got Noah. Noah, stand up there so we can see you nice and tall. And Noah, your birthday was the same as his on August 21st, right? Who's your teacher?
Edmiston.
Mrs. Edmiston, all right. And how old are you now?
5.
All right, happy belated birthday to you. And then next we've got Matthew. And Matthew, who's your teacher?
Mrs. Mullen.
All right, look up there so everybody can see you. And you had a birthday, and it was August 21st too, wasn't it? 3 of you. Hey, how old are you now?
5.
All right, look up there, and happy belated birthday to you as well. All right, a couple reminders, boys and girls. First of all, your lunch cards and your breakfast cards, you get those when you go, down there, your tickets. Some of them are in awful shape. You need to take care of those. We don't bend them. We just hold them in our hand as we walk through the line. Hey, they need to last. We can't be printing new tickets just because you're bending yours up and ripping it up, okay? That needs to make sure that that does not happen anymore. Take care of those cards. Hey, we are having a little bit of issues still in the morning with people on the right side of the hallway, but it's looking much, much better. Lots of hot tickets passed out this morning for boys and girls who were doing the right thing. One other time that we need to really pay attention to what we're doing is going to the buses in the afternoon. We've got some boys and girls running to the buses, and you know what happened when some of them ran? They fell down and got hurt. So just use your walking feet all the way out to the buses so that we don't have anybody falling and getting hurt. All right, Carson, what's for lunch today?
Breakfast pizza.
Oh, that sounds good. Breakfast pizza. Hey? All right, Natasha, what about that weather today?
Almost cloudy.
Yeah, mostly cloudy, but no rain, so we'll get out there for recess. All right, boys and girls, as we mentioned, it is Constitution Day today. I want to tell you just a little bit. I know your teachers are going to talk more about Constitution Day, but I want to talk a little bit about it with all of us together. In 1787, that's a long time ago because this is 2014. In 1787, there was a group of men, and they met to write the Constitution. That was over 200 years ago. They didn't like the way the country was going, and they fixed it by creating the Constitution. We call these men the framers or the writers of the Constitution. Some of them are pretty famous. You may have heard of them. George Washington and Benjamin Franklin.
I know that.
Good. Well, they were some of the men that wrote the Constitution. And they met in a place called Independence Hall during a really hot summer in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And they had a lot of arguments. They had to write this Constitution, and they had to agree on it. And in the end, they did agree. And as you know, a law, that's the rules that we have to follow, right? Okay? Well, the Constitution is like the highest law in our country, okay? And it belongs to our whole country, the whole United States of America. And it says how our government works. It creates the presidency and Congress and Supreme Court, okay? And it lists some key rights. Those are things that everybody should get just because they're alive, just because they're a person. And by listing those, that made it pretty special. Those things make us safe. The first part of the Constitution is called the preamble. And after we do our pledges this morning, I'm going to show a little video about the preamble to the Constitution. And I'm going to just show it on the computer here. So teachers, if you would rather wait and do that later in your classrooms, the YouTube video on the preamble to the Constitution, you can do that because it may be a little bit better quality for you. But if you want to just go ahead and watch it after announcements, after our pledges, we'll do that. Boys and girls, let me explain about that preamble. It's the opening statement for our Constitution. The Constitution is really, really long, okay? But the preamble, is just the beginning of that. And it explains why the writers of the Constitution set up our country the way they did. As a democratic society where everyone has rights that some people in other countries don't have, okay? They wanted to make sure that the Constitution would help us all be safe and peaceful and free. So it's important for us to know that and understand our country's history and celebrate those men who wrote this Constitution and celebrate our Constitution, because today is Constitution Day, all right? So after the announcements or after the pledges this morning, we'll watch that video, or you'll watch it later in your classrooms today. All right, thank you for joining us on another edition of the Park Lane News. Have a great day, okay? Have a great Constitution Day, and remember, we're all here to learn.